Welcome to the Productivity Podcast. Today we're joined by Daniel Dorr. Daniel and I worked together at Boots what seems many moons ago. Hi, Danny or Daniel. It's up to you. Which one do you want me to call you today?
Yeah, Dan's fine.
Good. Daniel felt a bit strange. I felt like your mum for a couple of minutes there. But yeah, how you doing? You all right?
Really well, thanks, Simon. Yeah, and thanks for inviting me on.
No, you're welcome. So we worked together briefly in what seems many moons ago now in Boots on various big HR projects. And I know we've kind of kept in touch since, gone our different paths, but both now run our own businesses. So you're founder at Assured Thought, which we'll come on to in a second. And then really interestingly, co-founder at Lightwork Global, which was founded out of the pandemic. So for those listeners that might not know you or be familiar with either of those organisations, do you want to give us a bit of career background, how you set up Assured Thought, and then how Lightwork Global kind of was born out of the pandemic?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So first of all, my background's testing and quality assurance with software. And and I've been doing that for 20 years, which is how we got involved with Boots as well. 5 years ago, I set up Assured Thought, which is a specialist software testing consultancy for primarily financial services companies. And we work with our clients, and primarily where they've got vendor software, we test that software and make sure that when the software is launched within those companies with their people and with their business processes, that obviously the software works as well as it can do. And that business has been thriving. It's been fantastic. And even during the pandemic, we've been expanding primarily because of the digital transformation that COVID's accelerated. But what's been really good fun is that a good friend of mine, Stephen Slevin, who's my co-founder at Lightwork Global, about just over a year ago, we started talking about what he was doing, which was in Workday and helping companies on the Workday platform. And the more we got talking, the more I realized that actually his experience, which is about 8 years plus on Workday platform, he's got a huge amount of experience. And what we're seeing is the clients are really facing the same problems again and again. So on the back of that, we got really creative. And I think one of the silver linings, if you can call it that, of the pandemic was that time to actually, get away from the commutes and the traveling and the meetings and actually do some real creative work. And we developed some what we think are really cool methodologies that help companies on the Workday platform really thrive. And it's proving so as well. We've got 2 clients now, third, fourth on their way, and they're loving what we're doing. So the last year, although it's been awful in so many ways, from a business point of view, it's been one of the most creative times of my career.
Good. Well, it's nice to hear some positives coming out of lockdown. Clearly, as you say, it's been a tough 12, 18 months for everybody, but really good to see that there's a positive that comes out of that. So in terms of the Workday piece, again, there might be some listeners that aren't familiar with what Workday do, so maybe give us a really 2-3 second overview of what it does, and then we'll come on to kind of how you help people.
So Workday is an HR and finance platform born out of Silicon Valley. The founders of Workday were originally at PeopleSoft and realized that they could do it much better. The key selling point for Workday is it's a cloud-based system. And what's really interesting is that there's literally just one code base. So although they got clients like Amazon and Netflix and some massive players, those Workday clients are on the same code base as a small little company that's purchased Workday. What that means is that the software works. It works brilliantly. And they've designed it from the bottom up so that it fits beautifully into the processes, the standard processes of HR and finance within 99% of companies. And the functionality is incredibly rich. It's easy for their users to use. What we find is the users of Workday love using it. And it basically is an ERP that means that you can run your whole HR and finance systems using Workday. What's beautiful is everything's tied in together, and key to that is just one set of data underneath it all. So then you can really start to manipulate that data and make the most of that data to give you insights that you would never have dreamt of before. So it's an incredibly powerful bit of software. It's just taken off. I mean, you'll see lots of adverts for Workday on the Formula One and the golf. They're really starting to expand their reach. Really cool bit of software.
Cool. And we'll come on to kind of some of the digital transformation stuff in a second. But any software, so let's call that the tool, if you like, clearly needs people behind it. So people understand which buttons to press, or if the system drives them through that, which is the process. So I'm assuming you do more than just look at the configuration of Workday. It's around the people. Are they the right people potentially? And actually what process do you go through within the solution and outside of the solution to get the best? Because I'm sure many people listening today will have used great systems with poor execution or poor process in the solution or around the solution. And as ever, there'll be some good examples. Clearly, Apple, Amazon are great. You can pick up any of their products and pretty much get on with it. But those other two component parts of process and people must feature heavily.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we find with the clients that we work with on the Workday platform is that they bought this incredible bit of software. So it's a bit like buying an Aston Martin, but they're not making the most of it. And the reason for that is that they might be working with systems integrators that are just focused on Workday. And therein lies the problem, because actually Workday is just a tool, and it's only as good as the people that are using it and the processes that it fits into. So what we do in Lightwork is we look at the whole picture. So we look at Workday and we ensure that's optimized as well as it can be. But we also look at the business processes. So are the business processes beautifully efficient? Are they tied into the software in the most efficient way? Are there cul-de-sacs whereby a process has got a dead end, and it means that your data on Workday is becoming redundant or bad? But also, of course, as well as Workday and the processes, it's the people. And do the people really understand what this software does for them? Do they understand the processes that they're being asked to work to? Is there more efficient ways that they could be working? And what we find is the work we do with our clients actually really empowers the people. And they, so a good example is this. Some HR departments can spend so much time producing reports on Excel, whatever it might be, at a moment in time. And as soon as that report's been published or whatever, it's out of date. And what we're doing is we're using Workday as the platform. We're using data analytics to create these reports, these dashboards that are all in real time. It doesn't mean hours and hours of creation. And beautifully, what that means is it frees up the people to do what they really want to do. And that's certainly in HR. It's about working with the employees and getting the most out of the employees. So they're not sat in front of a screen looking at Excel spreadsheets. They're actually out there talking to their staff, understanding what motivates them, understanding what problems they might have, ways that the company can help them get the most out of their workday. So, that there's very much that triangle that we look at. It's the tool, i.e. Workday, and it could be any tool. There's the processes, and then there's the people. And if you can get all three singing, then you've got a thriving system. And, that's where you get real competitive advantage.
Yeah, and in our kind of productivity world, we'd class that as putting people back in the value add, so where they can make a direct impact to colleagues or customer and taking them out of the task and process, so the stuff that can be automated or done behind the scenes or done in a more productive way. So yeah, it's really interesting that people have got these big solutions, and as I say, I'm sure people listening will resonate. Maybe not Workday, but other big ERP solutions out there that become a beast to administer, configure, and when new development comes in, kind of update. Really harnessing the power of that to put people back in front of colleagues and customer rather than just pressing buttons or going through process. You must see some really outstanding results when people see that switch.
Yeah, completely. And it's about exactly how you describe it, Simon. It's getting people away from that functional work that they have to do, the admin stuff, and getting them into that real value add, that strategic work that, fundamentally that's what we all love doing. And that's what we've been employed to do by our companies as well. It's getting out there and talking to people. And, we've seen some great examples where, so for example, we've worked with a company and implemented a new recruitment module. And so whereas that was a very manual task previously, it involved hours of manual work, sorting out CVs and interviews and getting feedback on interviews and making job offers, etc., etc. We all know what the recruitment process is. What we've done is with Workday, we've implemented the Workday module, and again, it could be any tool, but we're talking about Workday now. And we've defined the processes that go around the recruitment, so that most of it's automated now. So, not only can we tie in with agencies and they can put CVs straight into Workday, but we've also tied in with LinkedIn so that you can get direct applications for jobs, and all the information from LinkedIn is sucked in so that when the interview comes, that information is there. Interviews can be automatically set up. So, Workday can see what people's diaries are and get those interviews set up without any manual effort. And then the whole process starts to become much more about instead of focusing on the functional sorting stuff out, getting interviews organized, all that sort of stuff, it starts to really focus on the people. Are these people the right cultural fit for our company? Have they got the skills we need? Are they going to deliver what we really want for our, in this particular role? And for that particular company, has been transformative. They've really, really focused. And talking about recruitment, using data analytics, you can see where a team, might be getting real superstars. So we can say, well, what's that team doing that other teams aren't to get the superstars in? So then you can start to tweak the processes. You can start to tweak the way you filter CVs and what have you, so that you can really get the superstars into your business. And again, that was a transformative change for this particular client. So not only was the whole recruitment process much slicker and more efficient, but they were starting to really improve the quality of the candidates they were getting through the door as well, which was obviously of benefit to that particular company.
Yeah, and there must be further then upstream savings around that, or downstream even savings around that, because if they're focusing more on recruiting the right type of people that fill the company purpose and they're a better fit, there should be less labour turnover further downstream, but also those people, because they're a better fit, will buy into the company and perform better and drive profit, sales, whatever it might be. So it doesn't just affect that piece, it's like the whole ecosystem of that recruitment and employee life cycle.
Totally, and it is. I mean, it's the benefits keep on rolling, because the people you bring in are more likely to be people that want to stay with your company, and they're bringing the right attributes and they become fans of your company. But like you say, you're spending less time on churn, sorting out levers, doing another recruitment. One of our clients, they might spend unbelievably, because we're looking at very smart professional people, upwards of £50 to £100,000 on getting the right skills in. Now, if that person leaves in 2 years, that becomes very expensive. So by reducing that churn, you're really starting to get savings through, obviously, money savings, but also you just got happier employees. You've got happier staff in HR because they're spending less time on that functional work. And you're starting to see those benefits roll all the way through the company and, ultimately affect the bottom line and improve the revenue and profits for that particular firm. So the benefits can be huge if you get this right. And again, it's all about the tool, it's about the processes, and it's about the people. If you get all three singing, you can really create a thriving ecosystem within your organization.
So there must be some kind of cool stuff coming in the, let's badge it, digital transformation piece. We hear lots, around AI, and you've talked around insight on one common source of data. What kind of things are you seeing coming or happening in the market that people have never thought about or never been able to get to, or are just like, really cool techie geeky stuff that's on its way?
Yeah, I mean the big changes in data, and as we all know, I mean, data is the oil of the 21st century. It's what's driving Google. It's what's driving Facebook. It's starting to influence global politics. Data is fundamental to everything we do. And if companies aren't embracing data and data analytics, which is how you learn to understand what your data is telling you, that you're going to get, companies are going to get left behind. The companies that embrace this and really focus on driving good quality data within their organizations, and then getting the right skills in to then understand that data, is transformative. And what we're seeing is that Whereas companies previously were kind of making guesses about, decisions and, and the best way forward. What data does, it gives you the raw facts to make decisions, and they're informed decisions. They're based on data that is built up over however long, years sometimes, and it allows leaders in companies to make informed decisions that they can actually trust and believe in. A good example is the pandemic, and when asked, certainly in the UK we had the Chris Whitty, often was on TV, became a bit of a superstar in the UK. When he was asked what he wished he had at the beginning of the pandemic, without hesitation, he said, what I would have wanted was data, because without data, you can't make informed decisions. So that data that tools like Workday are collecting is just unbelievably valuable. And actually, a lot of companies don't even realize how valuable that data is. When we start unlocking that data and unleashing that data through data analytics and producing reports, dashboards, trending reports, all that sort of stuff, the leaders in those businesses are just shocked by how much their information is available to them. And then when you look to the future and you start bringing in machine learning and artificial intelligence, that's where the really clever stuff starts to come through. And what we're finding is that through the implementation of algorithms, and those algorithms looking at your data and then making assessments of it, you're actually unlocking stuff within companies that even CEOs weren't aware of, and that's actually getting to the point where you're getting competitive advantage, because if you do that well, your competitors won't be doing it, and that's when you can really start to say, oh, right, okay, we can see a trend over here, let's really go for this particular market, or whatever it might be. So that's really exciting. And then what we're seeing with Workday is they're starting to implement like Alexa type functionality, where you can just ask your tool a question, like at a very simple level, how many permanent employees has my company got? And within a nanosecond, you're getting an answer back. And obviously there's far more complex and detailed questions you can ask, but that's really starting to get exciting then. So it all, for me, it all boils down to data, and the way that companies are now embracing that and using the tools available to unleash that data. That's the really exciting stuff, Simon.
Yeah, it sounds it, and it reminds me of kind of the Moneyball film. I think we've referenced it a couple of times on the podcast over different episodes, but I think it's the Oakland A's and Billy Beane, the GM, who was the first one to really embrace data, and he was picking up pitchers that were in the lower leagues, but actually when you started to look at the data, they had the best hit rate, or they had people, batters that could get to first base that were allegedly too old to be in the kind of top division, and actually put together a winning team. So that for me was kind of the early parts of those data-led decisions, but clearly it's morphed across sport, business, all types of enterprises in the world. So yeah, interesting to see where it's going and how it's shaping up. And yeah, that whole asking Alexa, I think you'll be able to ask her anything at some point. He or she will have an answer.
I love the Moneyball analogy. I mean, that's exactly it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. It's that gave that team a competitive advantage over their other competitors, because they had information that their competitors didn't, and it meant they could win tournaments where they weren't expected to. So, this is where companies, if they really, really go for it and master their data, it doesn't matter how big or small you are, you can take on the big players and beat them at their own game, because you're more agile, and that data can be the difference for you and take your business to a different level. Gives you a superpower.
Yeah, and I suppose it brings you back, doesn't it? You shouldn't underestimate the power of data. And then, again, we've talked in other podcasts about turning that data into insight, which is clearly what the platform does. But data is becoming clearly, probably other than cryptocurrency, one of the most valuable things in the world, other than, gold almost. So data is powerful, and I suspect at some point it will be the most valuable thing that most organizations have, if they can harness it. Otherwise it's worthless.
Yeah, totally. And without a doubt, it's it's going to drive economies. And what we're seeing at the moment is that for a lot of companies, their data and their data infrastructure, all the things you need to store that data is expensive, and it's a cost center. But without a doubt, for a lot of companies, it's not inconceivable that that data infrastructure will soon become a profit center for companies, and that's going to be transformative. I mean, that's a pivot that's going to really impact a lot of companies, big and small, and it's just about having the skills to unleash that data and getting the visibility and insights that can then drive your business forward. Exciting, really exciting.
Absolutely. And tell us about the book. So you've got a book.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about Workday, but incredibly, there's no books out there about Workday other than a few techie manuals, which are pretty much no interest to anybody. A couple of from a few nerds in Silicon Valley, probably. So Stephen and myself are writing a book at the moment. It should be out summer 2021. And it's specifically for HR leaders and finance leaders that are either on the Workday platform already or thinking about going onto the Workday platform. And it's given them lots of tips and insights about how best to look at, because, what we say is that you are buying an Aston Martin. When you get Workday, it's fantastic. It really is. It's premium, but it's fantastic. But a lot of people, when they buy it, they're treating it like a Ford Fiesta driving down to the corner shop and back again. Whereas if you really make the most of that investment, your return on investment is just phenomenal. But it's really just helping people that, this is a new world to a lot of people. Cloud software, it's just a tool, but actually, as we talked about with things like the data, it can go beyond just being a tool. It can become something that can get HR leaders at the top table. It can get them given CEOs data that the CEOs never thought was possible. And that really is, for HR leaders, something that can transform not only their business and not only their teams, but can also, make their career thrive because they're seen as invaluable within their business. So, yeah, we're excited about the book. It's a long process. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, but we're really proud of what we've done so far, and when we see it in print, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, so you should be. I think writing a book, seeing it published must be an amazing life achievement, and then getting feedback from people that have read it and knowing that you've made an impact on their life or made them think differently. I'm sure that'll be some amazing feat when you finish and it's out there in print or virtually, however it's going to manifest itself.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Simon. Yeah, it's a bit like, when I was talking about earlier about the last year and the pandemic, and, it's really that, again, that time has given me a chance to actually do stuff that's creative, which is, what we all love doing. We don't want to be functional. We want to create new things. And that really, has been great for us. And this pandemic has given us the time to sit down and actually write. And it not only does it sort out all your thinking, as you get that down into text, but it also means that once it's out in the big wide world, it's got a life of its own, and that's quite cool. So I never thought, being in IT, I'd be able to do that, and that's been really, really cool for us.
Good. So you focus on giving people lots of advice and helping them get the most out of their solutions, but what's the best bit of business advice you've ever been given?
That's a good question. I think it probably changes all the time, but this is a bit of a cliche, but it really is. From a lot of business owners get caught up in what they do on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes maybe forget the bigger picture and lift up to the bigger picture, and really focus on creating an incredible, remarkable solution for their clients. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be what you do. It can also be about bringing in partners and creating an overall solution that just takes, what you offer to a different level for your client. And so that's probably the best thing. It's for me personally, it's about lifting up and seeing the bigger picture, looking at the value you can give to your clients, and seeing them succeed ultimately is what drives us. And then I think the only other thing that I've really caught a grasp on is, just as a business, it's not just about making money and what have you. It's about some sort of purpose. And both of our businesses, we try and do as much as we can to support charities, and we do stuff outside of the office as well. And something that gives you that greater purpose, other than just cranking the handle on the business. Is there a bigger Is there a bigger prize here? And just coming back to what we do with Lightwork and the stuff we do with Workday, we believe that data, as we talked about, is incredibly powerful, but it can also, what we, really passionate about is that data can shine a light also on equality and diversity and inclusion within companies, and bring transparency for companies around how you make workplaces a much fairer place for everybody. And that's really, really exciting for us about, something beyond just helping businesses improve their bottom line. How can we improve people's lives within those businesses as well? So, long answer to a short question, sorry, but those two flavors are probably the business advice that I've really caught on.
Love those. No, yeah, there's always some greater good you can do over profit, and purpose is something we're strongly advocates of, that you kind of set it, but you've also got to live and breathe it. It's easier to create a purpose statement that everybody buys into. It's much harder to live it and breathe it in pretty much everything you do. So no, really admire you for that. If people want to further chat with you, want to find out a bit more about either of the businesses, or just want to connect, where's the best place for them to get in touch?
Oh, okay. So probably the best place is LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn as Daniel Dore, Dore. So search me up, and you'll see in my biog that you'll see the mention of Assured Thought and Lightwork, which are my two companies. That's probably the best thing. And to be honest with you, all my contact details are on there as well. So yeah, I'd love to connect up. And if anyone's got any questions, more than happy to answer those and see where it goes from there. Yeah, really. Really, like that's what drives me is connecting with the audience and seeing if there's ways that we can help each other, because it's a two-way thing. So yeah, that'd be good. LinkedIn.
Brilliant. I'll put the link in the show notes so people can find you easily and not connect to another Daniel Dore that potentially is out there doing something completely different.
I think there's a Canadian hockey player, so we're easy to tell the difference, hopefully.
Fair enough. So your Workday skills are better than his, and his hockey's better than yours in comedy.
Absolutely right. Yeah, exactly.
Good stuff. Well, on that note, then we'll pause there. It's been great to catch up and to hear a bit more about what you guys are doing, and hopefully people will get in touch to further the conversation.
Oh, so Simon, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on. I know what you guys do in your business is absolutely brilliant as well, the value you give your clients. And, I just really appreciate you giving me the time to talk a little bit about what we do as well.
You're welcome. Catch up soon.
Cheers. Bye.